Welcome back to Lenz's Comic Corner Classic / No Classic. This episode number 2370. I believe it's 6, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, 72, excuse me. And Doubleshot number 2266. Now, this was discussing a Doctor Strange. Now, the thing about these two trades, they have one thing in common. They're created by the featured characters created by two really good artists. Two of the best artists in the history of comics. There's many really good artists in the industry. Sadly, these two artists are no longer alive. One passed away in 1983. The other passed away in 2020. I think it was 2021. I think it was. First up is basically Doctor Strange with the miniseries Strange Beginnings and Endings. Now you're probably thinking, who wrote this miniseries? J. Michael Straczynski. Really? Yes. This was Doctor Strange's first miniseries. This is his last one before this was Doctor Strange: The Oath, which was a excuse me. Sorry about that. Yeah, that was his previous one, and that one's a canon one. That was by Brian K. Vaughan. Yes. Now, the one thing that I would love to have to answer this question. Why was Marvel hesitant to give Doctor Strange another ongoing series? He's a popular character. Why not give him one? There could be a variety of reasons why they just give him just series and miniseries over the years, like this Fly of Bones, The Oath, this miniseries, the second volume for this one. Why over the years they kept giving miniseries? My personal theory is that they probably didn't think the book would sell very well. That's probably the reason we waited until 2015 to have another freaking series. Yes, 2015 when that book by Disney came out, that was the first ongoing for Doctor Strange in almost 20 years. Yeah. And what did Marvel do Doctor Strange? Mostly guest appearances in people's books, appearing in a briefly revived Defenders book, and these miniseries. This, believe it or not, was only the third one ever released since the last ongoing series ended, which was Doctor Strange: Sorcerer Supreme, the longest one to date. And no Doctor Strange book has actually lasted long. This technically is the first volume for Strange. There is 2 more volumes to this one. And third volume, that does count for numbering. Second volume doesn't for some reason. Not sure why. What is Beginning and Endings about? It is mostly put a retelling of Doctor Strange's backstory. Where it expands upon basically what it's known for. This is not set in 616. Nope, it is the only Doctor Strange book not set in 616. You're thinking, wait, then what about the Super Stephen Strange? That was just a retelling of the original annual for Doctor Strange. That's most what it is, with the original artist. But this book does debut an outfit for Doctor Strange that he does show up an outfit in this miniseries. That you're probably thinking, would he wear that to this miniseries? Surprisingly, no, he actually not wear it. This book is published under the Marvel Knights imprint. Now you would think, Strange is a good seller of Marvel. Why not get an ongoing series? Probably not in the plans. I'm sure people begged Marvel for years. I mean, he's one of those characters from Marvel Comics where, like, he had an ongoing series since, like, the 60s and about the 90s. It just stopped for, like, 20 years. And all we got were these miniseries. Like, miniseries a few years, and that's all it for him. And in my opinion, for the longest time, I thought it was quite stupid that he's a great character. Give him a series. Have a writer basically do a run with him. I thought that for the longest time. And then finally gave him one. And it was really good. And it was a good stuff, Marvel. It's like, I think Marvel was even surprised at the fact that this book sold well. Not this particular. I'm sure this book did pretty good at the time. But I think Marvel just didn't have faith that he would sell when they wanted to. That or it probably wasn't the plans. But mostly put, like I mentioned, it's just a retelling with miniseries. He did, like, if you look up on the Wikipedia on the Marvel Comics website when it originally had regular stuff, they use a cover from this very miniseries for that. Now, unknown why this book basically had to exist. I mean, I'm sure people were still begging Marvel. Basically, there was probably I'm sure readers probably thought there was still a demand for Doctor Strange, but my guess is on Marvel's end. It was probably not the readers' fault, the fact we didn't get any ongoing series. But this miniseries, I thought would be pretty good. I'm going to get this book a 10 out of 10. Oh, by the way, the artwork in this miniseries, the cover in this book is Sim Barnes, art by Brandon Pearson. And this very outfit, which Doctor Strange would never sport outside of this comic book. Now, next time I talk about this book will be the second volume by a different writer. Next that we have is Jack Kirby's Mr. Miracle. Yep, this contains the original 18 issues that he worked on. And here's a fun fact for you. This was the one of those series that did get a new writer after he left. And here's a clue Marvel should basically pick up. The book was a relaunch #1 when we have a brand new freaking writer in the book. Yes, DC doesn't do that. I mean, here's a question for you. Name one series in DC that had to hit the restart button for its numbering because of its new writer. As far as I can tell, this has only happened once, and that was Teen Titans. You've been thinking, wait, what about Nightwing and the Grace? And that was basically just the final issues, which is set for Grace. That's basically what it is. But it's only happened very rarely. It's not a constant thing. New writer, new #1. Every single freaking time because Marvel is obsessed with #1s. This book, throughout these issues, we get a debut of several characters who are associated with new gods mythos. Mr. Miracle himself, Scott Free. Big Bard makes debut in issue 4. The Female Furies. Granny Goodness makes debut in this series. Oberon, who is Scott Free's assistant. Shion, his apprentice. Let's see. Basically, people part of the hierarchy for Apocalypse make a debut in this book. Now, Orion did not make a debut in this book. He made a debut in a different book. Now, in the first issue, mostly put Scott Free arrives on Earth after he escapes. Yes, he escapes from Apocalypse. Now, the backstory that this has still been canon for decades. And my guess is people at DC, do not want to retcon this because it's part of his character. You see, Scott Free is the adopted son of Darkseid. But here's the thing. His biological father is not Darkseid. It's actually Highfather. You probably would think, did Highfather make his debut in this book? Let's ask that question. Well, also we do detail the fact that Big Bard was part of the Female Furies. Now, as for why why Big Bard show in issue number, I think it was issue 4, that she made her debut appearance. Not sure exactly why. Yeah, there's also a guy called Thaddeus Brown who was technically the original Mr. Miracle. Yeah, he made his debut in the first issue and he got killed off by gangsters. His son, Ted Brown, what was he a recurring character in this very book? Yes, he was. He basically was there from issue 10 to 16. He came back for the last couple issues, and then he was basically a recurring character in volume 2 of the book. Who are volume 2? J. Matthias. Yep, I believe he was the writer for the whole book. Yes, I believe so. Let me take a look here about that. Yes. Let's see. Mr. Miracle, no, he was the writer for 7 issues and left. But this book, Kirby did he did the opening issues for this book. First 18 and left. Oh, by the way, the person who killed Thaddeus Brown, the Mr. Miracle, was, remember, Intergang. Yes, Intergang. Intergang, aren't they associated with Morgan Edge? Well, actually, Bruno Magnum. Yes, and they are creators of Jack the King Kirby. Yep. In issue 2 of the book, we have debut of Granny Goodness, and Dr. Bedlam. Dr. Bedlam is somebody who has been loosely associated. He's not like exactly a really big character per se. Yeah, he is not the really big character in New God stuff. Not really. In the case of issue 3, I think it was different Dr. Bedlam. In issue 4, well, Big Barda makes her debut. Here's a little fun fact of Big Barda. Big Barda is based upon Jack Kirby's wife. Yep. That is who, basically, she's based on. Oh, by the way, Highfather, did he make his debut Mr. Miracle, you might ask? Nope. It was actually in the pages of New Gods, but I'll discuss that soon. In issue 5, it was basically Vermin Valdemer. You're thinking, who the heck is this guy? Oh, it's the guy that looks like he's basically acting like Napoleon, the guy with the monocle. Yep. And this guy is still around. Yeah, he actually has never died. Well, he still occasionally pops up over the years. Yeah, there's even a Becca feature in this book of basically like about Scott-free escape. Now, oh, it's not there. Yeah, New Gods basically has more stuff associated with basically that book. Issue 6 is the debut of the Female Furies, which basically the book is, at the time, the first was Barndith, Lasha, Mad Harry, and Stampa. Stampa was basically a beefy woman who basically like stomped around. Sana was basically one with like a bandage whip. Mad Harry was the crazy one of the group. Barn Death, I believe she's like the older woman of the group. Yeah, and occasionally, for some reason, I don't know why this is. Apparently, like, how should I put this? They had it with a few Furious for supporting characters in this very book for some reason. I don't know why. Issue 7, the first appearance of Kanto. Yes, Kanto. Basically a guy who is, well, part Darkseid's elite. And he basically is got a purple and like a sun in his chest. It was also the debut of the Jet Blow Squad, his squad he has. The Harassers. And Limp. So you're like, really? So this book is basically one side, one flip of the coin for the Apocalypse stuff. And the other half. There's also Galatana. She makes the debut in issue 8, and she, not, like, if you think of anything outside of DC Comics, it's not exactly well known when it comes to her. Yeah, by the way, when she printed this book, this issue 8 was her sole appearance in this book. Yeah. In issue number 9, we had a debut of Protector Walk, who's there for one appearance, of Hyman. He was just a character, occasionally appears. You're probably thinking, what's up with these characters you're mentioning? Like, some of you you've heard of, some of you have never heard of before. That's basically how it is. We also have a character named Head, who makes his debut in issue number, I think this was issue number 10, which also was Darius' debut. Yeah, he may have a few appearances, and that was it. Issue number 11 is the appearance of Dr. Bedlam. 12 is Masavik. 13 is, we also have them taking on King Komodo, who this was his sole appearance, issue 13. 14, they got Mount Evil Eyes. 15, we had the first appearance of Shell Norman. Who's Shell Norman? Why, it's Mr. Miracle's apprentice. Anyone who succeeded him is Mr. Miracle when he died. Yep. In issue 16, no debuts. It's just basically more about his new apprentice that shows up here. In issue 17, look at Papalico. 18, Jack Kirby's the last issue for this book. This issue is famous for one thing: the wedding of Big Barda and Mr. Miracle, who, get this, still married today. Yep. DC, despite the fact their stupid influences basically record all superhero marriages, this actually is one of the very rare marriages that has stuck. Because Jack Kirby did it, and I guess some people do not want to take off Jack Kirby's estate by basically undoing this. Though it's kind of strange on Earth 2, together, but no mention of married. But that in New Earth, Prime Earth, they are married, which is interesting. This book is absolutely amazing. I do recommend checking out people fans of Mr. Miracle, and check out the following book that comes right after this one, which basically issue 18. They basically have Steve Gerber and Steve Eckelhart take over the book with the Redneck issue, which, by the way, issue 18 comes out roughly 3 years later. And you have Steve Eckelhart basically take over the writing duties of this book. And then you have Steve Gerber and Michael Golden basically do the artwork as well for the last couple issues of the book. Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly why they waited 3 years basically to bring the book back. But that's basically what they did. It's quite strange though. You're thinking, oh, they basically disappear after this? Mr. Miracle scuffed scot-free. You're probably thinking, would he actually return after this book? Like, what did he do in between books? Like, what did he do after issue 18? Well, he didn't do very much. He appeared in various era titles, eventually came back, and then eventually in the 80s became a member of the Justice League International, which he was part of for a long time. The most recent book basically they released for him was basically the Tom King book, and of course Source of Freedom, with focus on cello. This book is absolutely amazing. If you're a fan of Jack Kirby, check the book out. The book is really, really good. I give this book a 10 out of 10. That's episode review. Next episode is going to be Mushoku Tensei, and then one more comic corner. I'll call it a night. It depends. I might have time to do one more after that. Okay, next video. Bye.